Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The date is June 1st, 2020, and the time is now 7:01 p.m. I call to order a meeting of the Havre Grace Mayor and City Council. I'd like to call roll call first. Council President Glenn.
Here.
Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
Councilmember Martin. Councilmember Robertson.
Here.
Councilmember Ringsacher.
Here.
Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Councilmember Martin is still recovering from pneumonia. He still remains in our thoughts and prayers. We do believe that there's some good news on Councilmember Martin, right, Council President Glenn?
Absolutely.
You talked to him?
Absolutely. Talked to him today, and he's got a long road to recovery, but he's hanging in there. He's being safe, so that's what we want him to do.
I know, we're glad to hear. We're worried about him. So Councilmember Martin is still recovering. So our thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. Please join me for Pledge of Allegiance and opening prayer. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I could ask everyone to please remain standing as I call upon the opening prayer supplied to the council this evening by Reverend Gene Proud of Proud Evangelistic Association, and the council president is going to read it into the record this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, I pray first for the members of council as individuals. I pray that you will grant them health and safety. Grant them insight so they may govern Havre Grace wisely. Also, I pray for them to each have a spirit of cooperation so they may best be examples of excellence in governing in their personal relations. I pray for the council as a whole as they be ruled by wisdom and display unity in these trying days. I pray for the people of Havre Grace that they also may be blessed with health and safety. I also pray for them to have patience and understanding. I pray that they receive understanding that their council is on their side and concerned with their best interests. I pray for the business of the town that they experience prosperity and protection. Father, I pray all these things in the name of and on the authority of your Son, Jesus, my Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Council President. Thank you very much, Reverend Proud. We appreciate your words. Council item 5, approval of the minutes. We have the council meeting minutes of May 18th and the closed session minutes from May 18th. Item A, council meeting minutes of May 18th, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Council President, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Approval of the council meeting minutes from May 18th, 2020, carried 5-0 in the affirmative. Item B, closed session minutes, May 18th, 2020. Motion to approve.
So move.
Councilmember Zinner,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Ringsacher. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Closed session meeting minutes of May 18th, 2020 are approved 5-0 in the affirmative. So I have a couple quick comments to make this evening. They're very similar to the comments I made in previous meetings at this point. Just want to remind citizens watching at home. Now, if you're watching at home and you've seen the last few council meetings, you know how we've been conducting our meetings. If this is the first meeting you've seen, it's a little bit different. There's no audience in the room. The governor of Maryland still has us under the 10-person minimum order for gatherings and meetings. And so we have kept the number under 10. We have the 7 elected officials and the city attorney and the city director of administration and the gentleman who's manning the camera. This meeting is in the room, and we're all observing social distancing. We are still allowing for public comment. If you wish to comment at these meetings under these circumstances, Just show up to City Hall, you'll be greeted at the front door, and we allow citizens to come in one at a time to address the council for comments on agenda items. So I just want to get everybody heads up that until the governor lifts the 10-person minimum order, we'll still be conducting our council meetings this way, live stream, so the public can observe the meeting taking place. So at this time, we want to move on to item 7, comments from citizens on agenda items. Is there anybody wish to speak? No one wishes to speak? Okay. We do actually have a few people who have contacted City Hall through email, and the Director of Administration is going to read 2 into the record, and I know Councilmember Boyer is going to read 1, so we'll start with Mr. Seipold.
Good evening, Mayor, and thank you. The first email I have is from Kirk Smith. Historically, domestication and use of bees have been the pollinators of choice for many ages in regards to plants, especially vegetable plants as far back as 9,000 years ago in Africa, and are depicted in Egyptian hieroglyphics in 4,500 BC. A few years back, the City Council was gracious enough to listen to my request and benefits about having a bee apiary in the city of Havre de Grace. There was concerns and support for which I and the Havre de Grace team, Green Team, was grateful. The city attorney at the time was the now Honorable Judge Paul Ishak. Judge Ishak supported the Havre de Grace Green Team's efforts and took notes, and on his time began to assemble documentation to support this effort. After being selected to the bench, City Attorney April Ishak took the mantle and challenge of bee warrior for our beautiful city at the top of the bay, and was able to satisfy the legal discussion that allowed the Havre de Grace Green Team and City of Havre de Grace to have a bee apiary legally within the city limits. I commend them both for stepping up and doing us all a solid thank you. The natural progression of being a bee is short-lived in human terms, but the protections and our continued care for these wonderful pollinators is a lifetime achievement, and the city and citizens should be proud of the steps taken by all to make this happen. I would like to encourage all the City Council to approve the Bee City Resolution 2020-15, and give thanks for your continued support for our nature and natural environment, from large-scale endeavors such as the work being done at our tidal basins and streams to small projects that have a big impact like our community bee apiary. With respect, Kurt D. Smith, Sr. The second comment that was sent in is from Curtis Kuhn. It is offensive to those of us who pay taxes and live inside the city limits to be reading signs a mile between our home and City Hall, "Welcome to Havre de Grace," as though the city limit is at the Revolution Street Bridge or halfway down the hill on Level Road. Those signs are anachronisms. They perpetuate the sordid notion that Bully Rock and Greenway Farms are just the ATM machine for City Hall and are not legitimate. Such new neighborhoods account for more than their fair share of running the city. When was the last time a major sewer or water pipe was excavated in Bully Rock? I've lived here 14 years and never seen such activity. Compounding this is the fact that several parcels between the existing signage and City Hall are, in fact, not annexed, a debate for another day, but relevant to the acerbic taunts of the current signage. For the millions of dollars the developers will undoubtedly make or lose, City Council and the Mayor should require that the annexation agreement include a covenant that all city welcome and city limit signs be relocated to the new city limits at petitioner's sole cost and expense. The annexation statute requires the boundaries to be resurveyed and restated and recorded in the land records. Good citizenship requires that the city signs declaring the city limits match the actual new boundaries. Thank you, Curtis Coons. And that's all I have for this evening, sir.
Thank you very much for reading those comments in the record, Mr. Seipold. Councilmember Boyer? You have another citizen comment on agenda item, I believe?
Yes, it's a letter here from the Havre Grace Junior Girl Scout Troop 228. To the members of the City of Havre Grace City Council, Havre Grace Junior Girl Scout Troop 228 requests that you consider fully supporting the endeavor of the Havre Grace Green Team as they move forward with becoming a certified bee city. In April and May 2019, as the troop was working on their Bronze Award to Save the Bees, they met with Green Team members to learn about the apiaries, hive maintenance, bee care, and the important role bees play in pollinating the food we eat. The troop was also invited to watch as the queen bee was introduced to her new hive at the apiary. Our troop was so impressed with the apiary and learned a tremendous amount from the volunteers. It was evident that an immense amount of time and care has been put into the apiary. It is a proven educational tool to the community and a source of pollination for the community garden and Todd Park food forest located directly across the street. By becoming a certified bee city, the City of Havre de Grace and its residents will continue to benefit further in the role of providing sustainable habitats for our native pollinators. Please support this effort. Best regards, and it's from the troop, signed by the leaders Katie Ridgway and Linda Hawkins.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. And I have received another letter of support that came in for the council meeting for public comment. This is from Ms. Morgan Jones, representing the Environmental Center. She's the manager of the Environmental Center at Havre de Grace Maritime Museum. The Environmental Center would like to offer a letter of support for the resolution to become a certified bee city through Xerces Society. We fully support the project and believe that the resolution offers many direct and indirect benefits to the community. If you require any additional supporting materials, please let me know. Kind regards, Morgan Jones. And I know council received several other letters of support as well from other citizens in support of the Beehive resolution. Great, thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Seipel, and thank you, Councilmember Boyer. And since there's no one outside City Hall for a live public comment, we will move on to item 8, resolutions. And, resolution for applying to be a bee city. What do you know? That's a coincidence. Item A, Councilmember Boyer.
Mayor, I move that we introduce resolution to authorize Havre de Grace Green Team to apply for a Bee City USA designation.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Ringsacher. Questions or comments on the introduction of this resolution?
I heard this resolution was all the buzz. It would be excellent if
You better believe.
Yeah, jokes. Love them.
We've been inside too long.
Motion introduced by Councilmember Boyer, second by Councilmember Ringsacher. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion to introduce resolution carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Council, this is going to be Resolution 2020-15. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to Maryland Constitution Article 11E, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, and City Charter Sections 33 and 34, to authorize the Havre de Grace Green Team, Ltd., to apply for Bee City USA designation on behalf of the City of Havre de Grace. Council, to have a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Boyer, second by Councilmember Robertson. Questions or comments on the resolution? Councilmember Boyer.
Thank you, Mayor. So working with the Green Team, we had a member from the community come forward who is a very active beekeeper, and came with a concept of why don't we become a bee city? We have everything in place. The next designation is to go forward with it. So the Green Team was interested in it. We came up with a resolution. I worked with Councilmember Zinner too on the for the wording and everything. We met with Public Works, who were very interested because there's several things that will allow us with this designation to also have a head first or a better position going into some of the grants. It will be unique for this area. That said, there are a couple of other Maryland cities and counties that are B cities. I think the biggest, it's a really long resolution, and most of this text is recommended by the B city, but there's several things that we have to do. Again, things that we're already doing with the Green Team. The Green Team will go ahead and pay for the future, all the fees to be the designation. So I really consider it a huge win for the city and something that will, again, put us in a better position for a couple of grants. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer. Any other questions or comments? Council President?
Just one quick question, and I'm led to believe we'll be the first in the Northeast region to do so. Is that correct?
Correct.
Any other
I
questions?
just want to thank the group, the other Green Team, and all of the individuals who commented and worked on the resolution. It went back and forth several times for rewording and rework, but there was always a significant amount of enthusiasm from that group, and I'm so glad that we're able to bring it to the floor this evening.
Council President?
In my final comment, I just want to say, I want to thank Council Members Boyer and Zinner and the Green Team for getting this moving forward. I think this is, like you said, a huge win-win for the city, and again, being the first in the Northeast region, it just reinforces we lead by example, so.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Council President. Any other questions or comments? Council, I'm going to do a roll call vote on Resolution 2020-15, applying for B-City USA designation. Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Absolutely, yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, Resolution 2020-15 is adopted by this council. Thank you very much, council. And my hat's off to the Green Team and all the work they've done to try to get this designation. It's very important. Thank you. We'll move on to item B, Annexation Resolution 288 concerning 1531 Pulaski Highway. Councilman Ringsager.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a motion to introduce Annexation Resolution 288 concerning 1531 Pulaski Highway.
Council, I have a motion by Councilman Ringsager. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Zinner. This is a motion to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion to introduce resolution carries 5-0 in the affirmative. This is going to be Resolution 288 concerning the annexation of 1531 Pulaski Highway. I will read the header into the record. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, Title IV of the Local Government Article of the Maryland Annotated Code, Sections 3, 33, and 34 of the City Charter, and Section 20 of the City Code authorizing the City Council as the legislative body of a municipality to annex property extending the boundaries of the municipality and amending the City Charter, specifically Appendix A, by adding subsection A34, the first 2020 addition to the city boundaries, along with the legal description of the acres of land which will enlarge the boundaries of the City of Havre de Grace to include the lands of Pulaski Parcel LLC located at 1531 Pulaski Highway near the northwest intersection of Pulaski Highway and Old Post Road, State Route 7, consisting of 3 properties in the 6th election district together with a drainage and utility easement and part of the adjoining CSX Railroad right-of-way consisting of a total of 3.613 acres, more or less. Council, do I have a motion to adopt the annexation resolution?
So moved.
Councilmember Ringsager,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Zinner. Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Ringsager, seconded by Councilmember Zinner. This is the motion to adopt Annexation Resolution 288. Questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Ringsager?
Mr. Mayor, Council. This is the next step in the process for annexing the property, 3 properties owned by one owner on 1531 Pulaski Highway. It consists of 3.613 acres, more or less. The county has been notified, as well as the Maryland Department of Planning. We previously approved the plan for the annexation, and this will have 0 impact on schools with minimal impact on city services.
Thank you, Councilmember Ringsager. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Robertson?
I just wanted a hat tip to City Attorney April Eshak and Shane Grimm as well, Director of Planning, because I know that they did a lot of back and forth on this one. So thank you very much for all you do for the city.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I will call for a roll call vote on Annexation Resolution 288. Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
By a roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, Annexation Resolution 288 is adopted by this council.
Thank you, Council.
Mayor, you'll need to set a public hearing.
Yeah, 1 second. Because it's an annexation resolution, it does require a publication. So the earliest hearing date would be June 15th. That would be the second regular meeting in June. That would be the earliest hearing date. It could be done at the following meeting as well.
So we could do it at the next council meeting?
That would be the 15th.
That'd be the 15th, right?
Sure.
Wait a second, let me double check.
Or should you wait till July 6th?
Well, actually, because, I'm sorry, it's gonna be July 6th, because we originally were gonna do this last meeting, so yeah, it would be July 6th. That would be the earliest, because we have a 2-week publication schedule. I apologize.
Not a problem, fair enough. Okay, Council President, how's the public hearing on July 6th now?
July 6th, 7 p.m.
Okay, there will be a public hearing on Annexation Resolution 288 on July 6th, 7 p.m. Thank you very much. We're going to move to agenda item number 9, ordinances. Item number A, ordinance 1035 concerning the fiscal 2021 budget for first reading. Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I move to introduce ordinance 1035, FY 2021 city budget.
Council, I have a motion by
My mic, you can't hear me? Oh, yeah. Can you hear? Yeah.
Okay, council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the council president. This is a motion to introduce the fiscal year 2021 budget for first reading. This is a motion to introduce. Questions or comments on the introduction of this ordinance? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce the budget ordinance carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Council, this is going to be ordinance 1035. An ordinance by the mayor and the city council of Havre de Grace by the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland, and Section 37 of the Havre de Grace City Charter for the purpose of establishing the city budget for fiscal year 2021 by designating the annual projection of anticipated revenues and propose authorized expenses for the city of Havre de Grace for fiscal year 2021. Council, I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1035 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Robertson with the motion, seconded by Councilmember Ringsacher. Questions or comments? Council President?
As we discussed in the public work session for the budget, we haven't really begun to realize the overall impact of coronavirus on the budget and the revenue stream. So in all likelihood, we'll probably have to revisit the budget maybe in the fall timeframe. So we know that going in, and as a council, we've had lengthy discussions about that, and we will keep our eyes closely to the budget as the fall timeframe comes around, and we have more supporting documentation relative to the overall impact of the coronavirus on the city of Havre de Grace.
Thank you very much for your comments, Council President. Glenn, any other further questions or comments? Okay, we're going to do a roll call vote on the first reading and adoption of the budget. Councilmember Boyer,
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson,
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner,
Yes.
Council President Glenn,
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsacher.
Yes.
By a roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, the 2021 fiscal budget for the city of Havre de Grace is adopted on first reading. And, Council President, public hearing on June 8th.
I propose June 8th at 6 p.m.
June 8th, 6 p.m. So everybody watching home, the public hearing on this year's budget will be next Monday, June 8th, in this council chamber at 6 p.m. It's not going to be at the next council meeting on the 15th. It's going to be next Monday, June 8th, at 6 p.m. here in the council chamber. If you wish to access the budget, the fiscal 2021 budget, we do have a copy on the City of Havre de Grace's website. If you have any questions, feel free to email any member of the city. You'll be directed to the Finance Department, of course. And if you have a question that you'd like to ask in public, you can come to the public meeting or a public hearing on the budget next Monday, June 8th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. Thank you very much. And then, just follow up, in case you don't know how the process works. And then, at the next council meeting, June 15th, will be the second reading of the budget and final adoption vote. So what you saw tonight, in case you're not familiar with the process, was the council took a first vote on it to bring the ordinance to life. There's a public hearing next Monday, and a following Monday after that, second vote, and then it becomes law. Okay, item B on ordinances, ordinance concerning infrastructure bonds. Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I introduce for first reading ordinance 1036 concerning infrastructure bonds.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Zinner. This is a motion to introduce an ordinance on first reading. Questions or comments on the introduction of the ordinance? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Council, this is going to be ordinance 1036. I will read the header into the record. Just give me 1 second.
For the record, I did not prepare that header.
Okay. An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, a municipal corporation of the state of Maryland, also known as the issuer, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the charter of the issuer, providing for the issuance and sale of an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $15 million of bonds of the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace. to be known as, quote, Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace Infrastructure Bonds 20-Series, unquote. As such designation may be modified by the administration to reflect the appropriate year and series designation as provided for herein. The bonds to be issued and sold pursuant to the authority of sections 4-101 through 4-255 of the Housing and Community Development Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, as amended, and section 39 of the Charter of the Issuer, which such bonds may be issued in one or more series and through one or more issues over each of the next 5 years, for the purpose of, 1, providing all or a portion of the funds necessary for financing and/or refinancing certain capital projects, as more specifically provided herein, 2, funding a portion of a capital reserve fund, and 3, paying issuance and other costs related to the bonds. Providing that the bonds shall be issued upon the full faith and credit of the issuer, providing for the disbursement of the proceeds of the sale of the bonds and for the levy of annual taxes upon all assessable property within the corporate limits of the issuer, for the payment of the principal of and interest on the bonds as they shall respectively mature. Providing for the form, tenor, denomination, maturity date, or dates, and other provisions of the bonds. Providing for the sale of the bonds and providing for related purposes, including, without limitation, the method of fixing the interest rate or rates to be borne by the bonds, the approval, execution, and delivery of the documents, agreements, certificates, and instruments, and the making of or providing for the making of representations and covenants concerning the tax status of interest on the bonds. Council to have a motion to adopt Ordinance 1036.
Mr. Mayor, can you read that one more time?
Read it again.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson,
Second.
second by Councilmember Ringsager. Questions or comments? Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for the folks watching at home, just a reminder that this is what y'all voted on back in February, the $15 million that the city will be using for capital projects in Fund 9, which is the Water and Sewer Fund. This is the city going to the bond market now to receive those funds.
Well stated, Councilmember Robertson. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this ordinance? Okay, roll call vote. Councilmember Robertson,
Yes?
Councilmember Zinner,
Yes.
Council President Glenn,
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager,
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 5-0 in the affirmative, Ordinance 1036 is adopted on first reading. And we will have a public hearing on, what do you think, Council President?
June 15th, we'll do it 7 PM.
All right, June 15th
That'll be our next meeting.
at 7 p.m. So tonight, first reading of the bond issuing ordinance. And we're going to have a public hearing on June 15th and second reading and adoption on July 6th.
Mayor, may I add, it may be recommended that you might need to suspend the rules at the next meeting because the CDA is expecting a response in early July. And so we're running up against that deadline, and we just realized that right when we were getting the documents prepared. So CDA is the issuer, is the agency we're working with to
Right.
get the bond.
So you're saying they'd probably need it before the end of June, right?
Yeah, it would help, because that way, if there's any changes that need to be made, it gives us a little wiggle room that first week of July if needed.
Would we be able to include this to the budget hearing on the 8th, or would there be a advertising requirement?
There's an advertising requirement, and that's why we couldn't do it on the 8th. I
On
know,
the
I
8th.
thought about that. The other
Okay.
way we could do it is we could do, the earliest we could do it would be on the, we can get 10 days notice. We need 10 days notice for the public hearing.
It's okay, I mean, we'll solicit council to suspend the rules if they choose to do so.
Okay.
upon
just
the
wanted
public
to-
hearing.
Make you aware and the audience aware that that might be a possibility.
Not a problem. Thank you for the heads up. Council President, got that?
Got it.
All right, so there's still gonna be, all right, so there's still gonna be a public hearing on June 15th at 7 PM. Thank you very much, council. Item 10, old business. This evening, we have no old business on the agenda. Item 11, new business. We have some new business. Give me 1 second. Okay. At the last council meeting, I told the folks under my comments to save the date of June 23rd of this year, that we were aiming for that day to have the rescheduled Havre City elections. And it's been confirmed by the Board of Elections that we can have it on that date. I checked the calendar at City Hall. There's nothing else going on that evening, so we're good there. But more, so by act of Executive Order 2020-07 that I signed this afternoon, the rescheduled election day will be Tuesday, June 23rd. It will be here at Havre City Hall, and the polls will open from 7 in the morning, and they will close at 8 p.m. Please make note, June 23rd is a Tuesday, here at City Hall, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The polls will be open. They will not be at St. Patrick Hall this year.
Correct.
Okay? We'll probably have signs there anyway telling people turn around and go to City Hall, but they will be at City Hall just like the February election was on the referendum for the bond bill. So here at City Hall, Tuesday the 23rd, 7 to 8. Did I miss anything? Yes, sir.
There's gonna be a public forum ahead of time, correct?
There's going to be a candidates
Yes,
night
the
on June the
candidates forum.
9th at 6:30.
Want to announce that?
Yeah, OPAC's going to do their annual, or candidates night. Now that the date has been established for the 23rd for the election, the candidate forum will be on the 9th at 6:30 p.m.
6:30 p.m. Okay. Yes, thanks, Council President, for bringing that up. Dr. Jaffe, who has run the OPAC, Ontario Positive Action Committee, forums, they've been doing it for several years. He does a fantastic job. We used to do it here in the council chamber, then we moved it to the Opera House the last couple of years. They were broadcasted from the Opera House. But because of the limits of amount of people in a room, we're going to have the meeting here on Wednesday the 9th at 6:30, and it will be live streamed, just like this meeting's being live streamed right now. So, and if you, speaking for Dr. Jaffe here, if you have questions you would like I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I have his email address, and we'll also have it on our city website, and I was going to comment on that.
Okay, great. Go ahead and comment on that.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if citizens who want to submit questions for consideration they would send them to hdgopac, that's OPAC, @gmail.com. Well, also, you could send them to the city website, care of Risa Laird, that's Risa L, @havredegracemd.gov. Either way, we'll get the questions over to the OPAC group for consideration, and that'll also be on our website for the citizens to see. It'll prompt them through.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seibold. So I'm glad the council president brought that up because it kind of relates to the election. So if you wish to learn more about the candidates running in the election, tune in June 9th at 6:30. This will be live streamed from City Hall, the candidate forum. So just to recap, Tuesday, June 23rd, here at City Hall, 7 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, will be the election for 3 council seats. If you have any questions, please go to Havre City website or call City Hall at 939-1800. We'll be happy to help you out, and we will be releasing that information to as much media outlets as we can. Councilman Robertson.
Mr. Mayor, one more question related to the election. I've had a few folks ask about absentee ballots for this election.
Yes.
Are they available starting tomorrow from City Hall? How do they go about getting those?
They won't be available till next week at the earliest. That'll be a notice will go out when they're available for
Okay.
distribution.
So should I tell people to just check the city website?
Check the city website, plus you'll see a advertisement hit the newspaper as well,
Roger.
2 ways.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. You can vote in person, and you can always do the traditional mail, absentee ballot. So I'm glad you brought that up.
The other place, other than picking them up here, if there's not an attendee at the front, they go to the Board of Elections office and pick them up as well. But if they send a request here, we'll make sure they'll get them.
And the Board of Elections office is in Forest Hill.
Yeah, up towards Forest Hill. I forget the little industrial park there. I don't.
123 Industrial Lane or 125, something like that.
Thank you. Glad you brought that up. And we're just going to roll right into director's report and go right back to you, Council, or Mr. Seipel.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. You've stolen all my talking points for this evening. But to reiterate, so the mayor and city council will conduct a public hearing in the city council chambers on Monday, June 8th at 6 p.m. The purpose of this hearing is to allow the council to receive public comment from citizens concerning the proposed budget for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020, and continuing until July 30th, 2021. If you want to leave a public comment and can't make yourself present, you can submit that to resalaird@havertygracemd.gov. So that email would be resal@havertygracemd.gov. And please note, residents may attend the hearing in person. The city will take all necessary and required safety precautions to address COVID-19 concerns. As such, only one resident will be allowed to enter the council chambers at a time to ask questions or provide comments. Any questions or comments submitted to the city in writing in advance of the meeting will be read into the record by the mayor. Again, on Tuesday, June 9th, beginning at 6:30, OPAC, which is the Ontario Otsego Positive Action Committee, is hosting their annual Candidates Forum. This forum allows citizens to ask questions and hear the candidates' responses to topics most important to them. You may submit your questions for consideration to hdgopac@gmail.com or visit our website at havertygracemd.gov for further information. We'll help walk you through that process. Farmers Market had another great Saturday, with many of the merchants doing extraordinary sales volumes. As a reminder, the market opens now at 8:30 a.m. for seniors and those with underlying health conditions, which seems to be a lot of people at about 8:15, 8:20 heading to the market. The market will be open every Saturday from May until mid-November. And then during these unprecedented times, please stay informed and most importantly connected with our websites, hdgmd or havertygracemd.gov, explorehavertygrace.com, and hdgoperahouse.org. And Council President, that concludes my remarks for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Seipel. Next up, we'll have the Director of Planning, Mr. Shane Grimm.
Good evening, Council President and members of Council. I just have some brief comments this evening. First, I would like to let you know that the demolitions of portions of the Sherwin-Williams building at 1354 Old Post Road have been completed, and work is ongoing on the property, and this is great news. This property has been a problem for quite some time, and the new owner of the property is investing a lot of money to clean up the property and convert it to other uses. And we're happy to see that. I've also talked to him about doing some work around the intersection at Old Bay Lane and Old Post Road to clean up some of the overgrowth there, and also hopefully work with them to get an easement so that we can put a sign at that intersection there. So that'll be great. And we hope that that also spurs some reinvestment and redevelopment along that corridor as well. And also, as I've told you a number of times, we've been waiting for the proposed Blenheim Run mixed-use project to come before Planning Commission, and that project has been submitted and will go before the Planning Commission for review on June 29th at 6:30 p.m. If you recall, this is the project that spurred us to create the mixed-use ordinance that was adopted by council a number of months ago. So we're also excited about this project. It looks like a very good project, very nicely designed. Architecture looks very nice, and if any of you would like to see any of those plans, I'd be happy to go over them with you. So again, that will be on June 29th at 6:30 p.m. And with that as well, we will continue to monitor guidance from the governor with respect to how that meeting will be run and what the protocols will be for that meeting. I'm hopeful that by that time, maybe we'll be able to have some folks in attendance in council chambers for that. But lots of projects. The planning department is very busy right now. Several other projects that I do anticipate coming in. So it'll be a busy summer with respect to development review from planning department and from the Department of Public Works as well. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you, sir.
I got one quick question. Did I also hear that a number of the buildings down at the National Guard are also coming down?
That's correct. I believe Ms. Quisenberry is going to be reporting on that as well.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's a lot of history.
Yes, it does.
Any other questions for Mr. Grimm? Thank you very much, Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Call forward Ms. Erica Quisberry Sturgill, who's our Economic Development Director. I know you've been very busy this week. How are you?
I'm sleepy. But we got a lot done this week, and I'm going to go through it as quickly as I can. One, we know that a number of the restaurants did take full advantage of the governor's outdoor dining provisions of May 27th and your executive order allowing outdoor dining and closing some parking spaces downtown. So if you haven't been downtown to our restaurants, we encourage you to stop by. They have put in a Herculean effort. Just consider, within 48 hours of being announced, they were allowed to open. They cleaned, sanitized, ordered all of the products, hired their people back, set schedules, trainings, created new menus, and were able to do it to capacity crowds. So it's pretty awesome that they were able to do that. So my colleague from planning has also told you a little of the demolition from Sherwin-Williams. So we were glad to see that coming down. For those of us with a touch more of a vintage memory, cyanamide. But the building is down. If you haven't gone all the way down Old Bay Lane, we also have another building that has come down, which is the 1924 Havre Grace Racetrack Clubhouse. It was torn down as part of the National Guard work that was done. It was served as an armory for the Maryland National Guard since 1955. That was torn down for part of the $16.5 million new design for their new facility for the 1297th Combat Service Sustainment and 1729th Maintenance Company. Then we have a lot of activity that's going on downtown. I'm not going to go through all of it, but to give you just some highlights, Abbey Burger at 226 North Washington Street, known as the Elizabeth Rogers House property. Familiarly, it's known as the Rogers House. Full steam ahead. They're working inside. I've gotten to go through the building twice in the past week to see the work that's being done, all the way down to floor joists and cleaning and scrubbing and new products in. It's going to be beautiful, and I'm very proud to say that they've also brought in local craftsmen to do the work, which is really exceptional. It's not something that they had to do. And I believe, Council President Glenn, since you have asked me about it and stayed on it the whole time on how Abbey Burger's doing, that there might be something very interesting they'll be able to talk to you about around just before Oktoberfest. So that should be coming too. So we've got some exciting news coming from them. Boca Mexa Taqueria at 109 Washington Street is open. They opened during the pandemic for carry-out and takeout only. They've been building a very loyal following. This Sunday, we had visitors who drove to Havre de Grace just to go to Boca Mexa from Oakland in Garrett County. That's a love for guacamole. That's a serious love. The Teal Antler Boutique is a new women's and kids fashion boutique that is opening up at 119 North Washington Street, formerly Shamrock. And then if you haven't taken a chance to, please go through and look at 204, 206, 208, 212, 220, 226 North Washington Street, all of which are having facade, new repairs, new windows, new roof put on. It's an amazing time along that entire stretch. You'll see some amazing things going on with some new business owners who are really investing in our city. It's pretty spectacular. Do I have any questions?
Council, any questions? Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Great job this week.
I'm gonna go get some tacos.
I call forward Mr. George Doherty, our Director of Finance. Good evening, sir.
Good Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens at home. First off, thank you guys for approving the two finance-related amendments, the budget as we move the process forward, and the bond, which allows us to move forward with the state and begin to do that important work which the citizens have asked us to do. In terms of the financial condition of the city, the general fund, their fund balance has increased to 1.365 million as of this morning, which is about 850,000 ahead of where we thought we'd be at this point. We have been the beneficiaries of a county MS4 grant that will be added to the budget next year once we figure out the details of the project, but the county is contributing $500,000 to the city for MS4 and stormwater management programs. And so that was an unexpected and unbudgeted windfall that will roll into next year. The Water and Sewer Fund is currently showing a 1.15 fund deficit, which is slightly higher than it was. Well, it's not slightly, it's a couple $100,000 higher than it was 2 weeks ago at this time, and most of it is just, again, due to slowdown in receiving revenues as people work through the economic conditions of the pandemic, and we have great faith that we will eventually rebound, but in the meantime, the citizens can be sure we are performing what you've asked us to do and supplying you with the water and treating your wastewater without interruption. And finally, the Marina Fund is pretty much where it was 2 weeks ago at 850,000. Of that amount, 160,000 is for facility operations, about 40,000 was profit on fuel sales, which are virtually the same figures I reported 2 weeks ago. It's been relatively quiet at the marina the last 2 weeks. And that's the financial condition of the state as we speak tonight. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Horty.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. I'd like to call forward the Director of Public Works, Mr. Tim Whitty. Good evening, Mr. Whitty.
Couple things this evening. The Living Shoreline Project was submitted to MDE, the Army Corps of Engineers, and DNR for review. I would like to thank MTBR, Tidewater Grill, Mr. Woods, and the American Legion for participating in this project. It enabled us to complete more of the shoreline than we would have been able to, so it's really appreciative of their signing on with this project. It's definitely going to be just a great project. It has so much potential. It has the potential to be nationally recognized. It's that big a project. So we're very excited about that. The planning and then landscaping was completed for the Phase 3 project, and then today Bradford Green started on it. That landscaping will be finished tomorrow. So those projects are wrapping up. We did relocate the 15 magnolia trees within the project on Phase 3. So that whole project is pretty much is wrapped up. We did finish the sand and the stones just to replenish the beach area. We've actually piled some extra stones in the back. There were some piles of cobbles that we left there, and we're actually trying to as the wave action builds up the sand in the area, but also it will enable the pollutant removal to be extended in the back underneath the promenade. And then finally, the award for the two sewer projects, one at Commerce Street for both for around 1,600 linear feet, and then St. Francis Street. I'm reviewing those, and I'll be awarding those projects probably Thursday or Friday of this week to an engineer. That's all I have. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Whitty. Thank you so much.
A quick question.
Oh.
Are you planning to do any relining of parking spaces around town?
We haven't put that on the agenda, no, not of yet, no.
Okay. I believe a comment had come to me from people about parking spaces around the existing hospital.
Okay.
And that they're extremely faded and people are not parking correctly.
I think I recall that email. So we certainly can knock it out. The weather's warm enough. We could probably go ahead and knock that out in about a day. If you just send me that email again, I'll just schedule it for work and get it knocked out.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So we were cobblestoning Washington Street.
I'd like to call forward the Chief of Police, Mr. Russell Walter. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I want to first off start by thanking all of the businesses downtown with your order for the outdoor dining. It started Friday evening, it's gone through the weekend, it seems to be going very, very well, and I do really appreciate the businesses working with us and working with the city to make sure that everything is as seamless as possible. And for the most part over the weekend, it was really, really great. We had a phenomenal weekend as far as the weather, so that was really, really nice. So I do
Great.
want to thank the businesses, and I want to thank everybody else who came out, to support those businesses as well. That's very, very important, so. The other thing I wanted to do, usually every year, the law enforcement torch run makes a big push to sell the T-shirts to help support Special Olympics Maryland. Well, we haven't really done that because with the whole COVID-19, situation, and a lot of people losing their jobs, getting laid off, that type of thing, we haven't really pushed them. However, I do want to show it, and if anybody is so inclined to support our cause, we would be more than happy to sell them a T-shirt. The cost is $15 if you would like one. I have one here. Do you mind if I show it?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm going to turn around to the camera. And this is what it looks like. So again, it's if any of the council members haven't seen it, it's a nice one. I know, Mayor, I kind of got one to you early, so you could be the first to have one. So again, if anybody is inclined and they want to still support and can support this great cause, that would be absolutely wonderful.
They can just go to the police department?
Yes, yep, or they can contact us on Facebook, call us, or whatever. We'll make arrangements. They can stop in, or, again, if they're the whole social
Fantastic.
distance, yes, with the whole social distance, we'll
Curbside
drop it.
delivery?
I'm sorry?
Curbside delivery?
I will deliver it. You want one, I will deliver it to your house, absolutely.
Who do we make the check out to? Havre Police Department?
I'm sorry?
Who do we
No,
make-
it would be Special Olympics
Special
Maryland.
Olympics?
Yes, sir.
Special Olympics Maryland, right?
Yes. Yep. And then in the comment section, you might just want to put, law enforcement torch run or LE torch run.
Excellent.
Okay?
How about mine?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chief.
I
We
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 13, which would be comments from the mayor. Couple things. Start with, we'll start with the sad stuff first. A lot of people probably heard there's been some more cancellations that have come upon us over the last week. The 57th Annual Havre Grace Art Show ended up canceling their event, which will be held in August for obvious COVID reasons. We understand. It's not their fault. I know it was painful to come to that decision, but we commend the Optimists for what they do every year for the community and for running the art show for the last 56 years. And, they're definitely planning on holding the date in August for the following year, 2021. And I'm sure I'm pretty sure council will be voting on that pretty soon, the event for 2021. So hats off to the Optimists. Thank you very much for all you do. The June 5th Concerts in the Park is also canceled, but only the June 5th date's canceled. So no June 5th concert in the park. We'll make a determination for June 12th very soon if that will be held or not. Of course, also the First Fridays for June is canceled as well. So, like I say, we're going to try to take things one at a time. We haven't canceled the First Fridays in July yet. It may be likely that we will be canceling it, but we haven't yet. So we're just going to take things one at a time and not just blanket cancel the whole summer away. So we just, see how it goes. Every day is something new. But as many people know, that Governor Hogan last week did allow outdoor dining, and as my chief mentioned and my director of economic development mentioned, we are trying to accommodate the restaurants in the city of Havre de Grace as quickly possibly as we can. So Governor Hogan allowed outdoor dining, and he encouraged local jurisdictions to close streets down. So luckily, we were already working on a policy, And we just kind of implemented it, and thank Mr. Woody for grabbing those 5,500-pound concrete jersey barriers that we were able to safely cordon off some parking areas. And I signed Executive Order 2020-05 that established a policy of allowing brick and mortar restaurants to take up to, should they choose, up to 4 spaces to use as outdoor dining for the restaurants. Perhaps, hopefully, who knows, maybe the next gubernatorial meeting that comes down the pike will maybe allow a percentage of indoor dining. But either way, we encourage folks at home to, if they wish, to go outside and have an open air sandwich and a drink. Or if you choose not to and stay home and stay safe, that's also smart too. So. But anyway, just want to let everybody know that we're slowly progressing downtown, and we're trying to create a safe environment for those who wish to patronize the restaurants. So a couple other things too. I get emails often about random stuff around the city. You know, what's good, what's bad, what needs fixed, what can be better. I appreciate all emails and communications. That's how we learn about things. And of course, I get emails about the playground, and some people want me to open the playground up, and some people thank me that the playground's closed. And pretty much everything has been open in Havre de Grace. We never did shut down the parks or the promenade. Even the pickleball courts are open, but the playground, as I said, the last council meeting is a little bit different in nature because it's a very popular playground. You know, you get children from all over the area, not just Havre de Grace. On a beautiful day, you could have 100 kids on that playground. So the metrics that we use, that this administration is using on the playground, is a very localized metric. We're looking at the numbers in Havre de Grace with COVID and the numbers around Hartford County. And I will say today we did have signs made up that we'll eventually put up when we do open the playground, some just basic rules for people to follow. I'm not giving a date right now when the playground's going to open up, but it should be opening up in the near future. So I just want everybody to know just a little bit longer. We're watching every day the numbers locally of how COVID is affecting our community and our county. And I want little kids out there to know that every single day we think about that playground. I don't want you to think we forgot about it. Okay, the playground is important to us. And I said at the last council meeting, we have a new piece of equipment coming to the playground I think kids are going to really like. And we've already put down some new chip mulch on the ground to make it look pretty and for everyone's playing pleasure. So
Grass looks great.
The grass looks really good. You know, like we love the council loves playgrounds just as much as you kids. So as soon as we feel that, you know, it's safe to have a controlled environment there, then we will open it up, and it's going to be in the near future. No dates yet. So with that said, just again, these last 10 days have just been very fluid around here. Just with new orders from the governor coming down every week, what you can do, what you still can't do, and then trying to accommodate those who are affected by it immediately as you know, they need help and assistance with things. When this all started back in March, and things began closing down in rapid succession, there was a general sense of unity in the community. Everybody was like, all right, we can get through this. This is something we can wait out. And obviously what's happened in the last 2.5 months is, at least I feel from the position of the mayor's office, from the calls and emails I get, things are getting starting to get very polarized. From those who want to open everything up immediately on a broad spectrum and go back to life as normal, and then on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who think, you know, we still need to stay home and wear a mask everywhere we go, and it's still prevalent. And so, you know, I respect everyone's opinion. You know, everyone has a valid point. Somewhere I'd like to meet everyone in the middle. And I want people to know that in Havre de Grace, we make our decisions based on data and facts and metrics. We don't get our data from politicians. So what we like to do is we like to listen to many experts. You know, we like to listen to the CDC. We like to listen to the Maryland Department of Health. Like to listen to many doctors and kind of average out what they're saying. So nobody wants to open up and go back to life as normal as much as we do. This is the 4th council meeting we've had now where we've had no audience in front of us. You know, we don't like it any more than everybody else. So we want life to get back to normal. But the reason I bring this up is I'm starting to feel that the warm weather and the small allowances that the governor has been giving us has given some people a false sense of security and safety among this COVID virus. And so I just want to keep everyone, you know, on track and remember as you venture to go out and try just in a few more things every week with your time and your family, just be mindful that every single day on the Maryland COVID website, people are still getting this virus. Usually we average 1,000 a day, and people are still dying. There are over 2,500 people who have died from the COVID-19 virus. 2,500 Marylanders who 6 months ago celebrated Christmas thinking it will not be their last Christmas have died because of a virus. And so I want everybody to keep that in mind. And we don't want anyone else to die from this virus. And we don't want anyone else to go to the hospital. And so, again, nice weather, a few more things we can do per the governor. Just be mindful that it's always there and don't let your guard down because we don't want to see people get sick. Now, and speaking of hospitals, I got my little Paul Harvey, the rest of the story moment here for you before I let you go. So if you've been following the council meetings, back in April, we all came out talking about this vote that the Maryland Healthcare Commission made on a teleconference on April 16th, and this vote allowed Havre Memorial Hospital to eventually close down. They're not going to close down right away. It'll be in a couple years from now, but they're going to eventually close down, and the Maryland Healthcare Commission gave their final blessing that it could happen. I have written letters to the governor since last August, almost monthly, asking for 5 minutes of his time just to talk to him. Havre Grace felt like, you know, we had questions that weren't being answered, we had a grievance, and we never even got a response from the governor's office. We would just get an email back from a staff member saying, well, tell us what you want us to tell the governor. Well, it don't work that way. We've done that before, we don't get a response. I wanted to talk to the governor for 5 minutes. When we found out that this vote was taking place last minute, I really wrote some letters to the governor, and I never heard from the governor. And the governor, I mean, I know some people think that all mayors and, you know, have a, you know, Larry's phone number, and we just call the governor up and we talk to him. I don't have his phone number. I don't even have his email address. If you want to talk to the governor, we scrambled. He's got a bunch of deputy chief of staffs, and then he has a chief of staff, and his name was Matthew Clark. And then Matthew Clark's supposed to give the message to the governor and then set up a time to meet the governor. So Matthew Clark's out. A guy named Roy McGrath is in. There's a new chief of staff. His name is Roy McGrath. And I don't know a whole lot about Roy McGrath. I wish him well, but let's talk about Matthew Clark for a second. So Matthew Clark was Hogan's chief of staff for a while. And Hogan liked him so much that when all this stuff went down with the University of Maryland, with all the Healthy Holiday stuff, and, you know, and the governor really wanted to roll his sleeves up and correct the corruption of the University of Maryland medical system, he put his chief of staff, Matthew Clark, in charge of it. So Matthew Clark's job was to stamp out, you know, misdealings and corruption in the University of Maryland healthcare system. So I figured when I wrote letters to the governor saying I need 5 minutes of your time to talk to you about our hospital here in Harford County, and I had questions about, you know, University of Maryland Upper Chesapeake that weren't getting answered, I thought Matthew Clark would be the man saying, hey, I'm the corruption guy in the University of Maryland, I'm going to give the governor the paper. I guess I thought wrong because I never heard from the governor. But now, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. So the paper said earlier last week that Matthew Clark is leaving Governor Hogan's office because he got a new job. And guess where Matthew Clark's new job is? Matthew Clark's leaving chief of staff for Governor Hogan, and he has a top executive job with University of Maryland Medical Systems. I wonder if Governor Hogan even got the letters. You can't make this stuff up. Now, you know the rest of the story. And with that, thank you for your time. And I'm going to go to Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I just want to first say how happy I am to see everyone. I don't get out much. So it's an interesting situation where I'm not unhappy staying home. I'm very comfortable in my home and I enjoy it. But then all of a sudden, seeing your faces, it was so nice. So I just want to tell you how grateful I am to be here and to see all of you and to at least say hello and continue to wish you well. The art show cancellation, that was really very hard for my Seroptimus sisters. And it's also their biggest fundraiser for the year, and that's what provides the money for the scholarships. So they are planning to do other things to raise funds this year, so I don't know if we'll be cutting back on the number of scholarships next year or just the overall amount of the scholarships. But this year we did award 11 scholarships. There's 2 that are named for, one for Charlie Mike has a scholarship. His mother was a member of Seroptimus, so she has left money in trust for that. And Alba Boyle's another one. And then I donate a scholarship. So that leaves 8 other scholarships that are awarded from money that they raise each year. So they were $1,500 scholarships this year, so you can just do the math and hear how much they give away in terms of scholarship money. So if you see raffle tickets around, if you see other types of things, artworks, things like that, please be generous and consider bidding or buying or whatever mechanism that they're using. But they had when they made this decision, they only had half as many vendors apply for spaces this year, and they just didn't know how they could handle the distancing and also the costs associated because of advertising, their booklets, everything that they have printed. Their costs would be pretty much the same for fewer vendors. And they don't charge the vendors a fee other than their setup fee. They don't charge them anything of their gross. So the vendors pay for 2 days, and whatever they make is 100% theirs to keep. So by only having half the number, that would definitely limit them. So just wanted people to understand the dollars and cents of the decision, aside from the not knowing whether the restrictions for something like that would be lifted in time, that they had to make a decision before they put out all this money to produce brochures and booklets and things like that. So that's pretty much all I have to, and I do want to thank the Green Team for, again, their efforts. And there's a lot of crossover between the Green Team and the Tree Commission, so some of their members also had input into the resolution, so I want to thank them also. And then I want to wish everybody a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Councilmember Robertson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick couple notes. First thing is that Budget and Finance Committee will be meeting tomorrow, 5:30. 5:30 still good for you? Okay. Can you meet earlier by any chance?
Yeah, I don't have to drive to work, yeah.
How about Mr. Doherty? Would like 5 be okay with you, or 4:30?
5:15.
5:15?
Yeah, I technically work till 5 o'clock.
Oh, do you? All right. All right, so 5:15. All right. Second thing is that the Youth Commission decided to just make like these little certificates for graduating seniors, 5th graders, and 8th graders, and, you know, put it out to Hartford County Board of Ed. And the only response that we received was from Roy Williams. It's technically 21078, but I think it's actually Aberdeen kids that go to that school. But anyway, so they asked, and we provided about 90 little certificates that just said congratulations, you know, graduating 5th grade, and from the Havre Grace Youth Commission and all that kind of stuff. So that's probably something that we'll look forward to doing a little more. We just wanted to do something on the fly and last minute to kind of let everyone know that we think they're special. Also, last Monday, the Legion had a small ceremony, an abbreviated ceremony, an abridged ceremony at the War Memorial at Tidings Park, and I'm very appreciative that we were able to do that. I'm very thankful that, we had some folks come out and that everybody seemed to be practicing social distancing and, wearing their masks and taking precautions and all. So, just one of the small things that we can do to try and keep a little sense of normalcy. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I think that's it. Just everybody stay safe, stay healthy, do something nice for somebody, and remember, no matter whether you're red or blue or green, we're all Americans.
Thank you very much, Councilman Robertson. Councilmember Ringsacker.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I have no comments this evening other than to wish Councilmember Martin a speedy recovery, and we're thinking about you, Pop.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Ringsacker.
I've wanted to do
Member
that for
Boyd.
2 years, by the way.
What's that?
I've wanted to do that for 2 years. No comments.
No comments? See, a real no comment is no comment.
Did I take back that? Sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
No comment.
Don't wish they, just say no comment and let it, I'm joking, Councilmember Ringsacker. Feels good though sometimes, doesn't it?
It does,
It
yeah.
does, it's very liberating. Thank you. Councilmember Boyer.
Thank you. And again, I too wish Councilman Martin a speedy recovery. Hope you feel better soon. I want to thank everybody for your votes for the B resolution. One of the things I really love about this community is the will to make something good happen. And one of my favorite lines from this resolution was that designations such as this help make Havre de Grace stand out as a unique and forward-looking place to call home. Daniel Wolf was the one that wrote that. And I think it perfectly encapsulates this resolution. It came to us by just a member of the community who thought it was a good idea, it fit in, and then the more and more we peeled it back, found that it works perfectly and actually helps the city move forward. So I want to thank you all very much for your votes on that. This week, or this last week, the Thanksgiving Committee met, and just to talk now about, to pre-plan how is Thanksgiving going to look like in the future. There's going to be some phone calls going out to people asking them if they're still interested in volunteering for the Thanksgiving dinner. It's going to look different. We're going to probably not be able to have people sitting down inside. Don't know what's going to happen at that point in time, but they're planning now, looking for volunteers who are interested in helping to deliver the meals and cook, etc. But most importantly, probably not going to be able to rely on the restaurants to donate as much as they have in the past, so there's going to be a need for donations as well. But they're planning now and excited to get this going, and they want to make sure that this is not another one of the hazards of the COVID-19. They want to make sure everybody in the community is taken care of Thanksgiving. I do have exciting news to report on behalf of the Green Team. The food waste disposal pilot will be in place and ready for first use on the 13th of June for the farmers market. Just as a reminder, just like you recycle, we cannot take the normal plastic bags. Everything has to be compostable, so paper bags are compostable, special bags for that, or just cardboard boxes. I also want to encourage everybody to start considering how you would like to start with this pilot project, to be a part of it. For it to work, it actually needs everyone's participation. So promising to yourself that I'm just going to collect my coffee grounds or all the banana peels or pizza boxes, whatever it goes. By starting that way, we can start getting it into our rhythm of life to make sure that when everybody goes down to the farmer's market, you drop your stuff off and then you go on down and shop. The Green Team will be at the farmer's market on the 13th, and they'll be able to answer everyone's questions about the kitchen waste disposal program, what you can do, how to set things up in your house, and working forward to the future. So thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. Council President Glenn, how you doing?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members. with COVID-19 and the ongoing riots and all the negativity we seem to turn on every time we watch TV, I want to focus on some positive things tonight. First and foremost, we're really excited this weekend to get the email from Dave that said he was home from the hospital. That was really, really good news. I know it's going to be a long recovery, but Dave, I got to tell you, we want you to take your time. There's no rush to get back. We have your back, and we'll do whatever it takes to make sure nothing slips through the cracks, and you take your time and make yourself a priority. I also want to thank Susquehanna Hose Company. It was evident that the weather had finally broken this weekend because there was countless water rescues. That means people were getting out on their boats, and one such rescue, what you have to realize is with these invaluable volunteers, they always answer their call no matter what time of day it is. Last night the call came in at 11 o'clock where a father and his son had gone missing. And they went out on that water with practically no visibility, and they worked pretty much probably 4 hours throughout the night, but they brought that father and son home. They had been stranded out in the water, and somehow, some way, those invaluable volunteers found that father and son. So that was a great news story, and we're just fortunate in our community, because we're a waterfront community, that we have invaluable volunteers that when that call goes out, they go out and they can get it done, and they did last night. To surprise to no one, I would not leave out some warrior proud moments. First and foremost, congratulations to the senior class of 2020. This was, without a doubt, not the senior year that they had hoped for, but they did persevere. The one thing the virus can't take away from these seniors is the countless friendships and bonds they made with teachers and classmates and administrators along the way of their educational journey. So that they always have, and they can take comfort in knowing that they have that treasure box filled with precious memories that will last a lifetime that they can treasure forever. And I am confident that this senior class will be successful in whatever path they choose to follow, and that our future really is in great hands. If there was any group that could prevail through all of this, it's this senior class. And I wish them nothing but the best in all future endeavors. And this senior class has, a special place for our family, because my wife used to work pre-K at Meadowvale Elementary School. And this is her last class before she took a job with the county. So she was proudly displaying this weekend. She has this chair that the kids gave her, and they all signed it. And we were going through, this weekend and looking at the names, and she says, yep, they're graduating. It's my final year with the kids. So you have to know that Miss Terry still has your chair. In addition, I reached out to Harry Miller, the project engineer for the long-awaited replacement school, and he said that despite COVID-19, that school is going to be ready when kids return. And I got to tell you, when you ride by the middle school and you see that big pile of dirt, you know that action's moving forward. So that's really exciting, and it just reinforces what we've always said: warrior proud, Havre Grace strong, and Grace on top. In addition, like Jason said, each year we celebrate Memorial Day to pay invaluable recognition to all those fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters who paid the ultimate sacrifice. And this is a national holiday that really reinforces that freedom is truly not free. This year, due to the ongoing coronavirus, it wasn't your typical ceremony. Like Jason said, it was an abbreviated ceremony. However, we can't lose sight of the fact that the true efforts of the men and women in uniform is something you cannot put a price tag on. The freedom that we all enjoy today is because of their efforts, the efforts of our veterans. So I ask you, when you go out and you see a veteran, whether it's a current veteran or a past veteran, just take time and effort to thank them for their service. It doesn't cost you anything to say thanks, and it goes a long way to reinforce it for them that their efforts were truly appreciated. God bless our veterans, God bless our troops, and God bless America. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much for your words, Council President. Well done, sir. Council, I have, well, we're going to go to item number 15 now, which is adjournment. Council, can I have a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved.
Council President, seconded by
Second.
Councilmember Ringsacker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn carries 5-0 in the affirmative. The time is now 8:28 PM. Thank you very much, council, for a good meeting, and I hope everyone at home stays safe, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Thank you.